Welcome back to Simplifying the State, the podcast where we break down politics so you don't have to figure out the news from 10 different TikTok edits. As always, I'm Adam Watson.
And I'm Nicholas Perrin.
All right. Before we begin, if you would be so kind as to rate us 5 stars and share with a friend, that would be greatly appreciated, because if you enjoy the podcast, then they might as well. Make sure also to follow us wherever you are listening to this podcast so that you are always notified whenever a new episode drops. So, Nicholas, what do Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia all have in common?
Well, they're all a part of ASEAN.
That is true. They are also all in Southeast Asia, and that's kind of the region we're going to be talking about today, and what's happening there, which is the border conflict, well, at least the most recent one, between Thailand and Cambodia. So, Nicholas, you kind of want to give us a breakdown of how we got to where we are?
Yeah. Starting about as early as can be considered relevant, we had Thailand, which at the time was called the Ratanakosin Kingdom, and the Kingdom of Cambodia, which at the time we're talking about, which is like the mid-1800s. The Kingdom of Cambodia was weakening and slowly getting chipped away at by the Ratanakosin Kingdom until 1863, when the King of Cambodia signed an agreement with France, which allowed Cambodia to be a protectorate of France, so that Cambodia would not continue to be chipped away at by Thailand. That turned out to be a little bit of a mistake, because it allowed France to slowly incorporate Cambodia into their colonies and make it so the king has no power anymore, and for the rest of Indochina as well. Thailand was also colonized a little bit by France and the UK afterwards, but it was left as a sovereign buffer state between the two so that no conflicts could happen between the two colonial empires. So, skipping World War II and all that, which helped Cambodia and the rest of Indochina gain independence from Japan, and also helped with democratic elections in Thailand. Cambodia became a sovereign nation around 1953 to 1954, when South Vietnamese forces fully pulled out of Cambodia. So shortly thereafter, there were early border disagreements between Cambodia and Thailand, which were mediated by the UN, which favored Cambodia in it, which gave Cambodia a little bit more of the contested border region in 1962. But it was a pretty vague resolution and didn't solve much, all things considered. About 15 years later, Cambodia had a lot of political turmoil, resulting in a revolution and the establishment of the Khmer Rouge, which was just a truly very evil government, and eventually led to a Vietnamese invasion and occupation from 1979 to 1993, which pretty much everyone applauded. And the reason the Vietnamese occupation lasted as long as it did is because there was a lot of guerrilla warfare until 1993, which was mainly concentrated around the Thai border. And once the occupation ended, Cambodia was allowed to have a free democratic election. The prince at the time won 45.5% of the vote, and because that wasn't a governing majority, they couldn't create a government, so they went into a coalition with the two other parties, the Cambodian People's Party and the Buddhist Liberal Democratic Party. And the way that coalition worked is that the heads of those parties were basically co-prime ministers. And this coalition continued until one of the co-prime ministers, Hun Sen, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but yeah, Hun Sen launched a coup and ousted the other two co-prime ministers, and that led to a dictatorship until today, really. There was a change in 2023. Same party won a lot because it was a flawed election. So, yeah, it was basically just a dictatorship with a change in leadership very recently. Now, going back to Thailand really quick, Thailand has had a lot of, like, although they had they started to become a democracy in 1932, and that really accelerated after World War II. It was never so much as a constitutional monarchy as the United Kingdom, because the king had a lot of power, mostly with the military. And because of that, that led to 22 coups, the most recent of which being in 2014, and 13 of them were successful. And the reason most of the coups were initiated is because the king did not like the current state of politics at the time and called on the military to take over. And going to the crux of the issue, finally, that we're talking about today, the border dispute. In 2008, there was a beginning of another border clash between Thailand and Cambodia that lasted until about 2011 when the fighting stopped, and in 2013 they reached an agreement a further agreement it was supposed to finalize the border, but the two countries never marked the border physically, so it's literally just a line on a map, which has led to some further issues between the nations, as Adam will get to right now.
Yeah, so the most recent border conflict that has happened between them and the one that we're really talking about today, it started on the 24th of July. It happened kind of the southern region of the border. Like Nicholas said, really goes back to a bunch of territorial disputes from colonial times with the French and all that stuff. But a lot of it has been, some of it has been over kind of significant religious centers like Buddhist temples. That's been one major point of contention. But the most recent conflict so far has left as of right now, about 38 dead at least, and 200,000 have been displaced. This whole thing is really interesting to look at in terms of how it impacts the region, because both of these countries, Thailand and Cambodia, are both a part of ASEAN, which is like a group of Southeastern Asian countries. It's not really a military alliance like NATO, but it's also not a full federal union like the European Union. It's sort of in between, in the sense that it promotes like economic cooperation as well as strengthening cultural and diplomatic ties and all that stuff. But yeah, given that both of them are members, it has led to some, contention within the alliance. The countries within have issued statements stating that they want a ceasefire, which there is currently a shaky ceasefire in place. I say shaky because, one of the two have accused the other of firing rockets or artillery or stuff like that into the other. And so that's why it's been kind of shaky, but it seems to be holding as of right now. This ceasefire was negotiated by the leader of Malaysia, who's also the chair this year of ASEAN. So, seeing that kind of message behind the organization coming through, the strengthening of diplomatic ties. China has also been partially involved with this. They have also been seeking to get a truce between the two countries. Interestingly enough, though, about China is these two countries are both backed by different superpowers. China backs Cambodia, and then the U.S. backs Thailand. Thailand has been designated a major non-NATO ally by the U.S., meaning they enjoy heavy cooperation with the U.S. economically, militarily, etc., whereas Cambodia has provided access to Chinese Navy ships to dock in their ports and all that stuff. So both countries are kind of strategic interests for both the U.S. and for China, so that might be a reason they might want to see some de-escalation there. I don't think either country wants to really get involved with the other right now, which could happen if this turned into a war, but even if it did, it's probably not likely that they would go to war for this. So there were some within Thailand who did not want to see this conflict come to such a quick sort of pause or possible conclusion, depending upon how it goes. And that is because some people are speculating that a coup is imminent within the country. As we said, there has been a long list of coups in Thailand. The one that's possibly happening now started a while ago when the elected prime minister was suspended by a constitutional court over a leaked phone call between her and the former Cambodian leader, in which she appeared subservient to him in the wake of the Thai-Cambodian border crisis. This border crisis, though, was in May of 2025, and they were talking, and it seems like there was a phone call. The Constitutional Court didn't seem to like it, and so she was suspended. But yeah, it's possible that there is a coup going to happen soon in Thailand. We'll have to wait and see. But Nicholas, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, so since these countries are both a part of ASEAN, do you think that there could be any tensions within the alliance because of this?
I mean, it's possible. I mean, ASEAN has been dealing with a lot of issues concerning its member states, especially with the whole Myanmar situation, the civil war there going on between the rebels and the militarists after the coup there. So that has been a point of contention within the alliance. I mean, Cambodia and Thailand have not really had a good relationship for a while, but in the past, it hasn't really seemed to cripple the alliance. I mean, like I said, part of it is the fact that it's more so of a strengthening economic and diplomatic ties kind of alliance. So there's less headaches than there would be with these two kind of conflicts in, say, a European Union or a NATO, where all the members really need to come together. But I mean, it's possible, but I mean, it hasn't really seemed to be an issue with the former ones. So, I'm not sure it would be.
And I feel like a country that hasn't gotten mentioned yet that probably should be is India. Has India really said anything about this scenario, sent aid to either country?
I'm not sure. I believe they issued a statement, as most countries did, calling for a ceasefire and an end to hostilities, but I haven't checked if they have sent aid.
And I guess the other country that could be mentioned, Vietnam, have they done anything?
To my knowledge, I don't think they've sent aid. Like I said, ASEAN members released statements calling for an end to hostilities, calling for a ceasefire.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to Simplifying the State. We'll be back next week with our next episode. As always, make sure to share it with a friend who possibly enjoys politics or history or both or global events or just wants a fun podcast to listen to. Okay. See you next time.